along Silver Rails here, and today we're looking at an old Marklin train collection. Years ago, I started acquiring Marklin trains. I first saw them at a department store in St. Louis called Sticks, Bear and Fuller back around 1965. They had them up for their Christmas display and they ran perfectly, but I couldn't afford them back then. A number of years later, I used to go to the Florida Sheriff's Boys Ranch for their auctions. They would auction off donations, and occasionally they had Marklin trains, and I started buying them when they came up at auction. And then it turned out that a lot of the older guys that had come back from Germany after being stationed there brought back Marklin trains with them. And I bought a big collection from one of those fellas. I believe he was Air Force. And I learned to order them direct from Germany when the dollar was really strong, and I don't know, I guess I found them here and there. At any rate, I built up a big collection. And I used to run them on a small layout. And then I needed more space for families, so one thing after another, the Marklin trains got packed up. And just sitting there, boxes, so I gave them to one of my sons. The son that has them we call Sharky Joe on the Metal Sharks channel, which you might want to watch if you like metal detecting on the Florida beaches and places. But Sharky Joe is going to start running these trains, and he has been helping me set them up. He plans a much bigger and better layout than this one. But this is just the test layout. They all need lubricating, but we'll be happy to show some of them to you. This is a little 260 German steam engine. It has the smoke deflectors, sometimes called elephant ears, on it. We have two of them. One of them was pulling the freight train. This is a tank engine, an 080 German tank engine. Here we have a big German Pacific and tender. This one has a smoke unit. We have the small rail bus. I think this one's just a trailer, which would go behind this one, which is a bigger rail bus to carry passengers. Then we have these German, it says Deutsche Bundesbahn. I think that means Deutsche Railroad or German Railroad. And they have couplers at both ends. They're really nice. They're a die-cast metal. We've got 3 of these, amazingly. They're very attractive. Then we have this one here. And I can no longer remember what railroad this belongs to. It might be Swedish, it might be Swiss, I just don't know anymore. The passenger cars are very nice. This is an example of one. They come in different colors. They have pickups. Marklin is a 3-rail system, and it uses sliding shoes like Marx did, except that they're just so high quality and so beautiful. And the track, this track is metal. The roadbed is metal, everything's metal. And so it's not going to break down or anything easily. Here's an example of the track. That roadbed that looks like gravel, it's very realistic, is metal, and you can barely see the center rail. There's the center rail underneath the track. It has little stubs that stick up through the ties, which the sliding shoes contact. The track has little locks at either end to help them lock together. Other than that, they lock together like HO track. and the little contact wires would be soldered on from underneath. We also have a lot of little metal figures that came with the collection. They're about HO size, maybe they're OO, but they're pretty nice. Here we have a German character named Thomas and his best friend and Uncle Big Thomas, and they're getting ready to go skiing, obviously. They got their backpacks and their skis, and they're waiting for the passenger train. There's a lot of neat little characters here. And one lucky German has this Bugatti to drive around in. Wouldn't you like to be the owner of that? A lot of people don't know this, but on the Marklin transformer, to make the train reverse, this stop, I switched it down slightly and the engine clicked. Now it's going forward. I bring it to stop. Now it's going backwards. Now over here I have other transformers. This is the later type, I believe. This has a bad power cord, as you can see, but the way it works, of course that's the speed, but if you want to reverse it, you push down and let up. It's a momentary contact switch in there, and that'll reverse your trains. If you don't know that, you won't be able to figure out how to reverse the trains. So I'm sure there are a lot of hobbyists out there that still collect Marklin trains, but they're not that well known anymore as they used to be. Remember, they came back with a lot of GIs returning from Europe after the war. And I had a friend whose dad or uncle had brought him back a 3-rail train set, but it had solid center rails. It was OO, and it was British prototypes. So there's a lot of stuff out there from back in the day in the OO size, which ran on 3 rails. I don't remember if my friend's British train was AC or DC. I believe the Marklin trains are AC. You got to make sure though, because Marks and Lionel, American Flyer, field around motors are universal motors. They'll either run fine on AC or DC. You can take out the reverse unit that Lionel put in there and run that thing on DC current. I've got several American Flyer locomotives that are done just that way. We actually have bridge rectifiers in them that convert the AC current to DC, or we can run them directly off a DC power pack. If you run a DC motor on AC, it has a permanent magnet motor and it will burn out. It does fine on direct current, but never try a permanent magnet motor on alternating current. I'm telling you what I know. I'm not an expert, so don't rely totally on what I've said, but do your own research. That's how I think it works anyway. If you like this video, please subscribe and give a like, thumbs up to my channel.
Big. Not a big red, I imagine. Another big red. Dad's gonna win on this one. This one might be a keeper.
I want to see you do the job.
Very close to me.